Hello everybody and welcome to the list video here at Playing Board Games. Today we have 5 spoiler-free tips for the Dream Eaters campaign. This is a 2-part campaign that is 8 scenarios, 4 on each side. And we got some spoiler-free tips, or as spoiler-free as we can make them, because we kind of skirt the line a little bit. And also there might be additional tips that sometimes happens too. Let's go with our first one here. Wait, ooh, that's the wrong list. Bryn 5.
Yeah, bring me. Bring me.
Bryn, yeah, Bryn's always a good...
I'll bring something that works with the rules in a janky way.
Yeah.
Sled dogs.
Yes.
Or like Zoe Samaras and be like, I'll fight 15 cats from Saturn all at once.
Oh, you know, that's actually perfect. Zoe Samaras is a good example of our first spoiler-free tip, which is bring cards that can deal with multiple enemies at once, or alternatively benefit from multiple enemies, like Zoe Samaras does.
So I'm also learning about these in the same time frame that you are.
Yeah. That's why Bryn was really confused at first. For Bryn 5, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go with it.
Like, okay. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
So this has this campaign has a mechanic called Swarm, which basically adds additional copies of small enemies to enemies that you draw. So if a card has Swarming 2, it counts as 3 enemies for that. There's the host card, and then the other cards are extra copies of that. So if you have ways that deal damage to all enemies at your location, it benefits from that. And likewise with Zoe Samaras, you engage all the enemies at the same time. So if you draw a Swarming 2 enemy, you would gain 3 resources with her ability.
Which is pretty okay.
Yeah.
I still think that's silly, but...
Yeah, it is like maybe not quite right, but...
It's a rant for a different day.
Yeah.
You get to do it.
Yeah.
The effects can be as bombastic as... like dynamite, or as boring as Storm of Spirits, or like, I don't know, maybe a turkey that you picked up at the drugstore before you fell asleep and forgot to cook it.
Flamethrowers are good too.
Yeah, flamethrowers are good too, yeah.
Anything that can do damage to multiple enemies at one place.
Yeah. Goes up in value for this
Or
one.
evade extra enemies.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Well, that goes right into our next tip, which is enemy evasion is more rewarding in this campaign.
Nailed it, friend.
Yeah. So, when we say that enemy evasion is more rewarding in this campaign, we don't mean that like it's
a literal reward. It's just not bad.
Yes. Yeah.
There's
some of the previous
a lot of
campaigns.
enemies that might be very tough to kill in a single turn.
Yeah. There's also some enemies that their weakness might actually literally be being evaded, right? So there's some really good use that you can do for that. So just like having like a good foot score or the ability to evade can go really far in this campaign.
Yeah, the designers definitely try to intentionally incentivize people to evade enemies a little more often in this campaign, it feels like. So.
Yeah. But still, as much as they try, foot is still always bad when Hypno shows up.
Yep.
That's just how it is. This is
how it is.
We don't make the rules. We just follow them. Yeah. So also, we're not going too deep on this one because Dream Eaters, like, this is the bonus tip. Just have fun. It's a great blind campaign, and it's also actually like probably one of the easiest campaigns. So there's less like diving into the details for that, and now we're just going to talk about campaign structure for our last tips that we have
like
here.
It's probably one of the harder ones to get like the flawless ending.
Yes, agreed. But it's like easy to
very easy to get a winning ending.
Yes, agreed on that. Because we've actually only seen we've only had one shot at the flawless ending for us.
It's probably harder than the Forgotten Ages flawless. Is
which we've done accidentally.
Twice.
Yep.
Just happens sometimes.
All right, our next tip, which is on your blind play, make sure you play it as a full 8-part campaign. I'm going to throw this one to you, Travis, for this.
Yeah, so you can play it as 2 separate 4-part campaigns, just as like mini campaigns. You still get the full story of that side if you play it, but there's several sections that require the other side to exist for you to interact with them. And it's just a really... Not really, but a more lackluster experience if you only play one of the halves at a time. You might prefer to play them as one half later, just because it's a nice quick campaign.
Yeah.
You don't have to commit to full 8 scenarios. But we'd strongly recommend that you play both sides the way it's intended to for your first playthrough.
Yeah. Like when I'm playing a half a campaign, it's to like test out a deck concept and see how it goes like in a campaign with gaining experience over time. But if I'm playing Dream Eaters, it's worth it. The 8-part campaign is very enjoyable, and especially on the blind play, because it's kind of like where the campaign is.
Yeah,
It's
I think
what it
every
is.
time the three of us play on the channel, we've always played it as both sides of it concurrently.
We might have. I think we did each half once just to do it.
Okay.
And we just did that once though.
think so.
Yeah. And then we were just like, well, that wasn't that fun. Why don't we just do it normally?
Yeah, like there's a couple decisions that get made for you, and they take things away from you. It's assumed that you're doing the one that gives you less
Yeah.
story, and there's an entire interlude you get to miss, have to miss if you only play it as a 4-part. So
Yeah.
We should play it with like the dreaming side as the dog investigators.
Oh
and
yeah,
the
we've
waking
been
side
saying
as
that.
the
We actually can now. We
counterparts, 'cause
we have
like,
all of them.
now.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
I think we've been talking about that. We should do
Yeah, we
that
should do
after
that.
after our next draft. We'll do
sure.
because you also even said we haven't played Dream Eaters in a while on the
it's been a
channel.
long time, yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. We're gonna also talk about the structure too, about the multiple decks. There's a tip coming for that as well. Next one we got here, which is be cautious, but don't be afraid to explore within a scenario. This one I'm gonna throw again to Travis because this was Travis's tip for this one.
Yeah, so there's a couple of the scenarios in the campaign where you don't necessarily need to explore all the locations to complete the scenario, but it's usually worth your time, whether just for victory or for more story. There's a couple of nice, interesting tidbits, especially tie-ins between the two sides of the campaign each, that you have to go a little bit out of your way to find. But the be cautious part is you don't want to just... You probably shouldn't move into a new location as your last action, is mostly...
I mean, it's also better to resign clean
Yeah.
than it is to go looking at a pile of stuff that you probably don't have time to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or at least like have a plan to get out
Yeah.
once you see what the game's gonna ask of you.
Yeah, this is a very like story driven like campaign as well. So like even the scenarios when you're playing them are trying to tell you a story, and like they give you a lot of options for what you can do with them. Like there's the second scenario on the dreaming side, Search for Gadath, which is just like it's all about exploration,
Yep.
right? So like just have fun and explore because there's a lot of cool stuff to discover.
Don't think too hard about it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are also scenarios where you are not meant to have time to see every location.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, be aware of
Doesn't
that.
mean you can't
Yeah.
try.
No, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't try, but it does mean that you will run out of time.
And also
Unless you're very fast.
So fast.
Or,
This-
like, not completing objectives or whatever.
yeah, just get it somewhere.
Yeah,
All right,
like-
let's go.
Oh, that's going to take forever anyway.
This one's also a little bit spoiler heavy, but just because I was so scared, because the blind run with Eric's coming up, don't be afraid to stray from the path. If you're given the option, stray from the path. Don't even think about it otherwise. I was so nervous. Eric was like, maybe we don't. And I was like, okay. Oh, no.
Decisions are yours.
And I'm just here for the ride. All right, our last tip here. Sleeve all of the decks in the same sleeves so it is easier to swap staples. A lot of people online complain about this campaign because you have to build 2 decks per player, essentially.
I mean, that's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly, it is a feature, not a bug. But there's a lot of ways that you can make this easier. And a big one is just, if you can, which, like, I mean, I have a million different sleeves in a million different colors from you guys giving them to me.
Yep.
So, like, I rarely sleeve them in the same color. But it's a good way, because then if you have to swap cards between the decks, you can do that. In addition, you also don't need to go dreaming, waking, dreaming, waking. You can go dreaming, waking, waking, dreaming. So you have to switch the decks, the cards less. These are just things to make that part of it, which if you don't like deck building or don't like moving, like swapping cards around, it'll make that a little bit easier for you.
Alternatively, you can take this as an opportunity to play some less used cards.
Yes.
And limit yourself to not swapping cards between your deck.
Yep.
Which is very possible to do. We've done it with 3 players and had cards to spare
Yep.
in the collection. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's quite fun, actually.
It
And-
is, like, again, to revisit an earlier point, one of the easier campaigns. So you don't necessarily need to be like, oh, well, all my red decks need to have lucky and all my yellow decks need deduction. Though I understand if that's the way you want to play the game. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But if you have most of the content,
But
and
you
have
don't need
both your yellow decks, you're playing
Yeah.
two yellow decks, they could both have deduction in them.
It's true.
It's possible.
It is true. And then on Travis's note too, it is very fun to see cards that you are like, I'm never gonna play this, and then suddenly like, wait a minute, this card's actually like bringing the noise right now. So yeah, do that too. Just a limited collection as well. Go for it. Have fun. Try things out. Who's calling me? All right, that's it. Those are.
It's just the CRA.
Yeah. No.
You're being fined. You need to pay it in iTunes gift cards.
I could do that. I can afford a few iTunes to make the whole thing get swept under the rug. No problem. I'll do that. Thanks for watching, everybody. The next campaign we have to do this for is Innsmouth, which we're going to be doing once that deluxe box comes out for all that. So we'll see you all then. But in the meantime,
next year.
Yeah, pretty much. Go enjoy Dream Eaters. It's a very fun blind campaign. So just go have a great time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, a GG's.